Welcome to a football show here on the 440 Sports Network, brought to you by Sinkers Beverages. That is Paul Kuharsky of paulkuharsky.com. I am Braden Gall. The Titans are one game into their preseason schedule. Year number 2 of Cam Ward, year number 1 of Robert Saleh. And fans are doing fine, PK. Fans are fine.
Not a good night. Like to see more progress than that. San Francisco didn't play anybody. Got to take that into account for sure. And look, it's a win. I mean, I hope we're well beyond as a fan base in Nashville saying, "Well, they won."
They did?
That doesn't mean anything. They won. Yeah, Joey Sly had a good night.
Really?
That's big. Joey Sly. Titans are putting resumes away. They're deeper on Mike Borgonzi's desk after that night with 3 over 50 and pure.
Yeah.
All 3 of them. So he's very safe.
Off and running. Bustin says, arrest Cordell Flott. There we go. We're here to overreact. Here's the deal. The question actually is what's real and what is not. I think the right way to look at this, PK, is to look at the entire week in an entire big bucket of information, which is the practice on Tuesday, the game on Thursday, mostly the first half. Yes, we're going to have things to say about Will Levis and Joey Sly and some other things, but most of it is the entire week of action. What did we see on Tuesday? What did we see on Thursday? What do we think is real? What do we think is not real? What is really a concern? What are some of the players that I think there was lots of positives from individual players on Thursday night, mostly negatives across the board as a team. But is it progress? Is it not progress? What's real? We'll get into all of that. Sinkers Beverages, of course, make sure you support Sinkers Beverages, 5-time liquor store of the year. Obviously, this weekend is here. It's a Friday morning. It's a different time for the show, but it's Friday night tonight. That means beverages, so make sure you swing by Sinkers Beverages. Check out their tequila selection, their bourbon selection. They've got the award-winning craft beer fridge. They've got THC beverages, mocktails, an enormous wine selection, all kinds of great stuff, great staff, great service. They know their stuff. They're award-winning for a reason, 5-time liquor store of the year. And go vote, of course, for them to be the 6th-time liquor store of the year. And also, search Uber Eats this weekend if you want some booze delivered to your house or to your party or to whatever it is you're doing. For me, for example, we're going to be at 4 different soccer fields, I think, on Saturday.
And you booze up during the girls' games?
Not at the 9 a.m. start time. Not at the 9 a.m. start time. No, but then we got technically it's just 3 soccer fields. So it's 2 for the older one to start. Then it's a couple in the afternoon, which I don't even know if they're going to happen tomorrow because of the heat. For the younger one. And then arguably the biggest MLS match in the history of Nashville, Tennessee, coming up on Saturday night. So this is a football show for a second. Number 1 and 2 in the Supporter Shield, Messi in town, the week that his father passes away, 2 best offenses, 1 of the best defenses. This is going to be one of the biggest soccer matches in the history of Nashville on Saturday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, if you're tailgating and you want to have a little booze delivered, I guess to that, search Uber Eats for Sinkers Beverages and have it delivered, not to the 11U, 10U Gallatin friendlies that are happening at 9 a.m. I don't recommend that.
No. While we're on this, can we shortly have a conversation?
Sure.
I know MLS thinks, hey, we'll take it from here, and they get a big boost from the World Cup, and it goes. For me personally, it works the opposite way. I've seen the best soccer there is. I turn on MLS. It's even worse than I thought. And I'm less interested. How much? I know you're big into it, but what's the league experiencing now?
Well, so TV ratings are up slightly. Ticket sales are up slightly. The Nashville's performance in the Leagues Cup was so bad, but they rotated everybody out. They clearly were focused on this match on Saturday night. I will say, I am excited about EPL season coming back. I'm excited about La Liga coming back. Those Barcelona and Arsenal, the 2 teams I follow in Europe to some degree. But there's something about being able to, and this is probably true of 3rd-tier soccer in Europe, right, or in England. It's the quality's not great, 2nd, 3rd, 4th-tier soccer in England, but it's built into your community. And I think the idea of being able to go to something is still so much more important to me as a father with kids that are kind of in on this stuff. We can say that MLS quality is highly questionable, and it is, relative to the rest of the world, but not Saturday night. These are the best 2 teams in the league, potentially. This is the greatest player that's ever lived. They play tons of, Miami throws everything forward. They don't even try to defend, really. Nashville wants to possess the ball and has one of the best offensive attacks in the league. So it's all relative, right? I agree. It's not as good as Spain and Argentina, but it's, what is? Like, how many matches are better than that kind of thing in terms of quality? So, I am hyped about it. I'm pretty excited about it. And if you want to hear Ben Wright and Lucas Panzica talk about it, go check out the Club and Country podcast that we put out yesterday, breaking down the Leagues Cup and previewing the match. So, going to be an emotional day, and I imagine Messi gets a goal. So, you're going to have to score 2 to win, at least, if not more. So, we'll see. I understand your point, though.
Onward.
So, those like Oxford College teams in like the Cotswolds, like they're not high quality, but people love them because they're part of the community. So
that's fair.
That's kind of how I look at it. Plus, you got to be able to go to something to like really, connect with it on a deep level. So, all right, let's check out the comment section, which I'm sure is doing great. Excuse me, Tinsall, morning, gentlemen. Cronky, morning. PK, the Stillman cam is a bus train. I joke. Does Cam have to return his gold jacket after from last week's scrimmage? There we go. Okay, where's the Diet?
Somebody said, "Get me a Diet Coke." I look like I need a nap.
Somebody get PK a Diet Coke.
I have a Diet Coke, and I just had my first night with my CPAP machine, which is supposed to make me not wildly energetic, but I should be much better today than I am most days.
Yeah. The sky's falling. Joking. There we go. Stribling looked incredible. We'll get to that for sure. Gotta say, PK looking fresh. See, there's two different, even two people with eyes looking at the same human, two wildly different perspectives.
I don't know. Maybe one of them's blind and lying.
Honestly, no better perfect encapsulation of our current conversations in this country than two humans looking at the same person's, one saying you look great, the other one saying you look terrible.
Yeah, they're on different algorithms.
That's right.
Saying, is Ward the next Mariota? Look, Mariota was good and then got bad. Ward hasn't been good yet, so I don't think a good comparison yet.
It was terrible. Mariota was great right away. I don't think people they went from 2 wins to 9 wins in one season, and I think he had didn't he have 4 touchdowns in his first game or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Terrific in Tampa.
We have a month to clean things up, says Daniel Kribman. Cam will bounce back next week against the Super Bowl champions, right? Okay. Put some respect on Mariota.
I don't know.
Yeah. It takes a little time to adjust when you have to use a CPAP. Look at that CPAP knowledge on the show.
Well, listen, all I wanted was to have a good first night because I hear nightmare stories, and I would rate it as a great first night in that I put it on and I slept and I didn't take it off.
All right, let's start with the entirety of the week. I think that's the way to look at this, and that's my personal opinion. The defense, the secondary was terrible, potentially getting beat deep down the field. You can speak to this more than I can on Tuesday, but that's what Nick Suss reported to me on the show on Wednesday. Secondary didn't play well. They were going against Brock Purdy and Mac Jones, and they looked great with the starters. Then the same players who are the starters, who all cost a lot of money, especially at corner, Taylor and Flott, they play on Thursday against the third-string quarterback and backup receivers, and they don't look any better. Curtis Rourke is 12 of 14. I think the biggest story outside of Cam, which we'll get to, but the biggest area of concern that feels real because it didn't happen just in the game. It happened also in practice and was an area of concern in the offseason. We talked about corner during the draft as being a major need. Maybe we got fooled, me included, at the beginning of camp saying, hey, these starters in the secondary could be pretty good. I still believe in Winston. I still believe in Hooker. I still like Harris and some of these other guys, but the entire secondary as a starting unit, the 5 of them, cannot give up that kind of efficiency against backups. And one-on-one, Flott and Taylor both were atrocious against Stribling, a rookie with a third-string quarterback. That is the biggest area of concern for me.
Especially. Now, Stribling's been outstanding all throughout camp for San Francisco. A huge hype out there for the day I was out there. But, I mean, Flott's been good, in camp here. So you got veteran good versus rookie good with a third-string quarterback throwing to him. You got to expect at least a wash or some plays. It's just a disappointing effort all around. Now, I will think you got to tie it to the pass rush, and the pass rush wasn't very impressive here. And there's supposed to be trouble for a quarterback, and they're playing again against the second-string offensive line. Where's the pass rush? This whole thing keys around pressure from the front 4. Didn't see a lot of pressure from the front 4. Cody Barton gets back there by himself on a fourth down. That's a drive ender and can't get the quarterback to the ground. And then they give up a fourth down conversion on that. And Alante Taylor had a penalty on the play, which would have taken care of things anyway. And so just a huge disappointment.
I think so for Flott specifically, and we talked a lot about long player, length and range, but not a very big player. And that's just who he is as a player. He has been a solid player despite all of that. Now, what's interesting about the routes, like there were plenty of routes that they gave up completions where they weren't in good coverage. They were off guys by a yard, 2 yards, and the players were open, and the play was they just got beat.
I thought Flott at times was in good range. Just got beat.
That's the problem, is that there were times where they were open and not in good coverage, and then the problem is that there were times where he was in good position and literally lost contested catches on every single one of them. I think 2 or 3. I think Taylor lost one early in the very first possession as well, where they're in good position, but a rookie who has never played an NFL football game beat them on the thing that Titans fans want Carnell Tate to do, which is to win those one-on-one battles with contested 50-50 catches. And again, I don't know if you can spin it positively and say, look, they were in the right position here. What you're going to learn, and I think what we have to learn from this, is the type of receiver that will find success against Cordell Flott. Stribling is a big dude, lots of physicality, big hands, good at the point of attack. That's the kind of player that is going to give a thin, skinnier cornerback a lot of problem, and that was a major problem, is that even when he was in position and played the play well, couldn't make the play. That's a concern.
Big concern. And like I said, elements to fix. The pass rush. I mean, to me, look, the end of the play is what you're looking at, and the corners didn't get it done. But where's that pass rush?
That's true. No, that's true.
About all year long was the pass rush was going to do things. And pass rush, did we see anything real exciting there? Not really. Now they're missing Jacob Martin, but this is a deep group that should, one guy being out. Jackie Marshall wasn't there. Jackie Marshall's not going to be a big factor in this group. JFM is not there, so yeah, that's a dent.
Yeah.
But they've got waves, and we've heard about waves and waves and waves. Well, the waves minus a couple guys did not affect the game the way they need to. And again, I'm going to keep saying it, against non-starters.
All right, let's go to the offense here, and this is the part that I'm assuming everybody needs to remember. Sinkers Beverages for comments. PXHAB Ward making same mistakes as last year's mistakes. Spencer, last night was the first time I asked myself if Cam was the guy. Even Levis looked good under Callahan in preseason. We don't need to go that far, guys. Okay, let's not go that far. But here's my broad takeaway from Cam yesterday is, and I agree with the first comment there, which is at times, and I'll point out two specific times, the crossing route to Ridley and the screen to Gunnar Helm. That was, to me, a moment where the coaching staff and the difference in the coaching staff and the scheme and the timing of your play calling was evident as an upgrade over last year, because those 2 plays were called perfectly against the defense they were given. They got the right call at the right time against the right defense, and Cam, in rhythm, in timing, he also took something off that screen pass to Helm because he had dirted the one just a second earlier where the guy's Wan'Dale Robinson's wide open. He throws it into the ground, which is the same mistake as he was making last year because he hurries it up too much. And so those 2 plays are the 2 plays where Cam Ward didn't hurry and he didn't wait too long. He executed in rhythm. The play was called well against the defense they got. The timing was correct. And I don't think Callahan or the previous offense, I'm not trying to rip on the previous staff here, but it felt like those moments were really, really rare, where they saw defense, they knew how to attack it, they got the right play call, Cam Ward executed it, and it was right. So that is encouraging that took place. The problem is Cam Ward still made all of the timing, footwork, pocket presence mistakes that are supposed to be out of your system after your rookie year. 1 preseason drive, 1 preseason half, clear your throat, all that stuff. But he needs to get rid of those mistakes, and he's got to get rid of the football in rhythm. 1, 2, 3, throw, done. And you got to be knowing where you're going with it every time.
I think you said something really important there on the Gunnar Helm play, took something off of it, because he's throwing these bullets to Wan'Dale Robinson that they don't need to be thrown that hard. Now, Alec Manor last year, I think it was during OTAs. It wasn't even during minicamp. We said the ball's on you fast. You better be damn ready or you're in trouble. Now, that's one thing if timing fast. It's another thing if he's throwing you a bullet at 7 yards that's on you too fast. That's like not catchable. And I don't know that touch is one of his big issues. I don't consider touch one of his big issues, but there's no reason to be showing off your arm strength on 2 passes to your new possession receiver where you had 7 yards both times and the ball's too hot for him to catch. Now, should he catch it? Yes, but there's no reason to be firing your fastball there. And to your broader points about him, I mean, the play where he took the intentional grounding could have been a disaster play. It was almost Levis-esque. He's backpedaling. He's slinging it as he gets hit. That's a very, very close to being a fumble versus a pass situation that could be catastrophic. He's fortunate it wasn't. But what is he doing there? And here's the question I'll ask Robert Saleh today in this conference call we're going to have with him. And I'm not looking to make an excuse for him, but he had good protection last night.
He did.
Now, it's not like he never had good protection last year. It's not like it was always, every play bad, but was like he expecting bad protection last night that he hurried up the way he did? Because that's what it looked like, almost like he was about to why was he in a hurry when he didn't need to be in a hurry? That seemed to me like he defaulted to hurry mode that he was in last year.
Well, so what's really interesting is, and I would love to hear, and I don't know how you might word this with Robert today, but it felt like the mistakes came when he hurried, which is similar to last year. That's everything you just said. I agree with. I also feel like there was another sack, and then there was also an early scramble where he only picked up like 2 yards. I think it was like on the first play, maybe on a play action. The thing about great quarterbacks or really good ones in this league is you are making and it's hard to explain, but I think people understand it. You are doing the entire read of the defense, all 3, 4, 5 progressions in your drop. It has to be processed and done by the time your back foot hits the ground. And you have to throw decisively. And when the offensive line gives you time to get to that back foot, you can't just stand there. So it's almost like when he rushed it, he was a little off. And that's fair. That happens to people when you rush a baseball swing or a pitch or a jump shot or anything. You're not going to have great technique. But the other side of that is it felt like he wasn't being decisive and delivering it enough. And I don't know if that's because the offensive play call called for him to progress, to go through his progressions maybe slower, or on the play action boot, maybe you need to have more time when you whip your head around. Normally on a play action, it's like a 2-read route, and you're going to go boom, boom, throw because you got to get rid of the ball. So like my issue is sort of the timing was either too fast or way too slow. And the only 2 times I felt like it was in the right place was the Calvin Ridley crossing route and the Gunnar Helm screen pass. And
he was only 2 for 4 on that series. I mean, that's a run series. So
there was another one to Wanda Robinson, I think, where it was in rhythm too, I think. But my issue is it still feels like it's not, I don't know what to say. It's not processing, but it's almost like he just is. He's not willing to take the exact thing. And it's not the check down. It's not necessarily, it doesn't mean check down, easy play, easy throw. It's about timing and decisiveness. And in the NFL, man, you got to go boom, 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 throw. Like it's got to be boom, 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 throw. And he goes boom, 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 and then sits a couple times.
And that's Cam, a little bit of absolution here. I mean, I think some of these were on receiver. There was one, I thought the broadcasters really let Manor off the hook. They were like, maybe a miscommunication. I thought he had alligator arms. I thought he was coming from the left, coming inside a little bit. And it looked to me like he pulled up. Like if I extend here, there were 2 guys there that might have crushed him. But I think you're obligated. You still have to go, right? Then you come back, 100%. Maybe with a concussion and say, what the hell? I don't know. Like, is he told, hey, don't get killed in that situation. Live for another day. That's an interesting question. Maybe I'll ask that one too. But there was a little bit on some receivers here as well.
And I want to make sure, like, I know this maybe sounds like I'm being extra critical or extra harsh here. It's just because what the issues that happened last year are some of the same issues we saw in this moment, and some of the issues we heard about on Tuesday. I don't know if you saw some of these issues on Tuesday, if he was lack of decisiveness. I haven't seen a ton of it in camp. There have been some moments where he scrambles too much, but it feels like he is step, plant, throw in camp mostly. And so I'm willing to say, like, this was just first preseason game. You're getting the cobwebs out. You're getting the rust off, whatever cliche you want. The receivers weren't, maybe the receivers weren't open. First game with a new number one, a new number two, a new number, like I'm willing to acknowledge all of that. And there's plenty of positives with this group. I think the offensive line was good. I think the tight ends were good. I think the running backs were good. Like, we can get to some positives here. And I don't want to, the sky's not falling, but it does feel like the thing that I was most concerned with last year, which is sort of understanding his place in the play, timing wise, was still kind of some of the issue yesterday. And it's just worth watching. That's all.
I think I just want to say, like, I think Salah's handling this all very nicely, and he's super calm and not looking for any panic. But I don't know. He stopped short of saying anything like that was bad.
Yeah.
Like he was candid last night about speeding it up, but he said, but that's good because we can go correct it. So the spin is starting to get a little faster.
Okay.
And I think people should be conscious of that. They have a lot of time. They have a lot of patience. But I also think, the Titans haven't come out and set expectations. That opening press conference, Borgonzi very notably said, we got a long way to go. It's a long time.
That's right.
And this is back with the old PR director. I'll always remember this, Robbie Boren. At one point I was arguing with him during a preseason thing, and I had written something negative or whatever. And we were going back and forth at any rate. And I said, you guys built up all these expectations in the offseason and now this. And he said, who built up the expectations? I wasn't building them up. We didn't build them up. They built up. I agree. But look at what we said. We didn't say this. And to be honest, that's true. I mean, the Titans don't tamp it down when they sign these guys and people get excited. That would be stupid marketing. But they didn't say, hey, I'm defending them now a little bit. They didn't say, like, hey, these two cornerbacks are going to be transformative for our defensive backfield. And they didn't say, hey, this attacking front is going to hit the quarterback on every play. They said this is going to be different and better. They didn't give us degrees of better. And they said, hey, Cam is going to be in a better place, but they didn't give us a timetable and all of that stuff. So in that, I try to slow things down probably as much as anybody, but you're fighting a current. Mm-hmm. And the current isn't created by them. It might be created by their actions, but I think that's a very important distinction.
That's fair.
And so when he's calm and stuff now and not worried, well, he doesn't necessarily have a timetable, but he knows what the build is more than we do.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I'm struggling with is, like, look, we can only analyze what we've seen, and we only have 3 series, 21 plays in a preseason game that's week 1 of the preseason. That doesn't mean a lot, but we have to analyze what we saw. And then you can step back and say, well, how does it apply to the bigger, broader build out that you're talking about? And, like, there's plenty of good stuff that I would say, look, I think there's some building block pieces, in the last 2 or 3 drafts that were out there for most of the first 3 series for offense and defense that, if they develop properly, could be the foundational building blocks you're talking about. And that's one of the things I was thinking last night while watching. I'm like, man, if they've got Keldrick Falk and Anthony Hill and Cedric Gray and Kevin Winston, and, like, these are building block future pieces that could be very good on the defense. They've got Carnell Tate and Peter Skronsky, who looked great yesterday. They've got some, there are some building block. Gunnar Helm, like, you just got to keep stacking those things in the offseason and have more than 3 on each side. You need like 6 or 7 guys on each side. And so there is plenty of good that's happening with the progress. But I think based on Tuesday and last night only, we need to see what it looks like next week, and then the next week, and then the next week. But I think my stance on this team is very much exactly where I thought it was through camp, which is they are pointed in the right direction. These are probably the right people to be making the decisions. They are a better, more talented roster, especially on the back half, and they're not very good at football yet.
Let me give you another example of what I'm talking about, because I think this really adds some texture. So the practice, by all accounts, non-Titans affiliated, I think. So that's me, that's Sus, that's TD, it's Buck, right? 4 of us out there. I didn't read everything everybody wrote, but I was standing with those guys, and we're comparing notes and talking. It was not good. And we mostly, all of us, watched the offense. Some guys are better at also having eyes on the defense. I'm not. If I try to watch both, I kind of miss everything.
Yeah.
But I wasn't the only one that thought like the offense just, it settled for a lot. I thought, the fast and violent thing, sure, it was there, but it was there for the Niners too.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of unquestionably, they expect to have that. And on top of that, they get better execution and better production, I thought. Now, later in the day, I had occasion to talk to somebody just briefly inside the organization who had watched the film. And, they were much happier with it than we were. Thought the offensive line held up pretty well. Thought that the team answered the Niners pretty well. Again, picking up on the scrimmage thing, thought that Cam, didn't force things downfield and did a good job making decisions, taking intermediary and short stuff. Thought they ran very well. Thought they defended the run very well. So,
well, can I
looking through 2 different sets of goggles with 2 different sets of expectations.
Well, and I'll let you keep going on that. What I think interesting is the bullet points that you just mentioned that they thought were solid, better than maybe we all would have thought standing there, you guys. Offensive line, running game, stop the run. All of that was good on Thursday night. All of that translated from practice. It's the other stuff we're talking about.
The most interesting thing I heard, that there was a later period. So they did a really big, long period, like 30 plays early. Then later they did some shorter periods. And in one of those shorter periods, I felt like Cam was just under siege. And I'm thinking, this is low-level pass rush personnel. Like, they didn't do a lot to fix a position of issue from last year, and they're hurt. Bosa's out, and 2 of their other top guys weren't out there. So it's not high-ranking pass rush. I mean, one of their guys was a Titan, fringe player from a couple years ago, starting end in this situation. And I thought Cam was on the move a lot. Well, then I hear, they kind of got undisciplined in their rush lanes, and Cam was able to, quote unquote, take advantage of that and get on the move a couple times. Well, I'm not going to really see that in the moment from a bad angle, where I'm in a corner and I can't really see what the right end is doing. Maybe some guys see that better than I do. I'm not going to claim to see, this is a rush lane issue. I see guys in the backfield and Cam seemingly in a panic getting out of trouble. That's a more precise take, and I'm grateful I got it and can share it here.
That's right. That's right.
But also, is it a little bit of polish on something? Maybe
a turd.
They're looking at it with brighter eyes than I am.
Sure. Did Tate look good in the first half? Let's touch on him. I've got one more negative that I think will come out of left field here for everybody, and then we'll move on to the positives, and we'll end on a good note here. Tate went 0 for 3 on his targets. He didn't have much opportunity. Says Daniel, he had 3 targets, but Cam missed him on 2, and the other one was broken up by the defender. Here's my question on that pass.
The breakup was an excellent defensive play.
It was, but that's the play that I want to talk about, though, because number one on Tate, if he does nothing, that's probably not a good part of his story, but it's game 1 of the preseason of his first game of his career. I don't care.
You'd like him to be dribbling last night, but
that's right. That's right. But here's the thing. That route, I'm curious, and this is just me kind of exploring why that play didn't work. Why the defender, I think a late round rookie, was able to play that play so well. And I am curious, this is just me thinking out loud, if that's the right kind of route for Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate, a speed out at the goal line when everyone's playing at the goal line may not be the thing you want to do with his skills. And so I'm curious why that was the call. Because if I'm throwing the ball to him, I want him with a stutter move, back pylon, go up and get it. Like, I don't want him running speed routes. I want him running power control routes because that is where he is so good. So maybe that's just maybe he had rolled, maybe the corner had stepped off and they saw the play and they had an opening and then he closed really fast and it was a great play. That's totally possible. But
I think that's fair. And, you want to play to his advantage. I also think he's the kind of guy that's going to need to win on whatever. And that was a good defender. Probably
great play. Yeah.
A guy who looks to have a bright future, making a good play. The ball might have been a touch late.
And maybe not. Maybe it needs to be a little bit more outside.
But
maybe
it
was fine. It's one of those things that I'm going like, is that the right use of him? That's all. Okay. Last one here on negative, and then we'll go to the positives. The broadcast was atrocious.
Oh,
the broadcast.
I had this note in my thing. I backed up.
Dude.
But Burmeister during the first couple defensive series just was insistent that Gus Bradley was calling the defensive plays. And Charles Davis, I don't know if he was trying to let him off the hook, but then talked about Saleh keeping the role that he had in San Francisco last year as the defensive play caller. And Burmeister went back to saying, what is Gus Bradley going to dial up here? And only later in the second quarter did he finally come around. I mean, how do you not know this fundamental thing about Saleh being hired and wanting to be back as a play caller, changing that from the Jets? That drove me insane.
I'm with you, dude. And look, everyone's in early preseason game form. I get this, but these are the only 3 broadcasts that this network gets really of this team. These are the most important things. And the camera, look, let me run down the list here, man. You mentioned it, both broadcasters, and I'm not talking about Charles as much because Charles likes to blow smoke, and that's kind of what he does, and that's okay on a preseason broadcast. Like, that's fine.
And they're working for the team.
So. That's right. Exactly right. But Burmeister was getting names wrong. Like, they were getting names incorrect, and that happens every now and then. But when you package it with bad camera work, they're cutting to cameras that aren't showing anything often, just all the time. The graphics on one play was 2nd and 27, and it said 1st and 27. The graphics were wrong. It was terrible.
Beautiful. I do think the graphics were beautiful.
I mean, like on the field or whatever?
No, their graphics package with the light blue and the
scorebug, okay,
and everything.
Okay,
I thought the uniforms and the graphics package all showed up beautifully.
That's right. The camera, so when you see a production, when you see a broadcast cut to the wrong camera, what's happening there is a technical director is in the truck pushing the wrong button. That's what that is. Like, you go from camera 1 to camera 2. That cannot happen because you prepare each camera. There is a screen in the truck where you ready a camera. They literally say in the truck, ready camera 1. There's 2 steps to taking a camera live. You got to go ready camera 1, take camera 1. And it looked like they were just taking camera.
And that camera is
terrible.
To behind the quarterback, to on the head coach, to whatever. Whoever's producing that is just not a good NFL game producer.
Yeah. So last one here, we'll start. Like, I guess, I want to know. I asked my wife, like, hey, what do you? My wife's lived here her whole life. She was born here. She's not necessarily a diehard football fan, but she likes the Titans, supports the Titans. She's now a Packers fan because she's been married to me for so long. I asked her, I was like, hey, what do you think of the uniforms? And she was like, they're definitely better, but they still kind of look like. She's like, I don't know. I think it's an upgrade on the previous uniform, but it still kind of looks like clip arty a little bit on the field. And I don't agree. I think they look much, much better. But what'd you think of the uniforms?
I thought they looked great.
Yeah, I
think they played great. I thought the helmets especially had nice punch to them. And I think it's unquestionably an upgrade. You can nitpick some things. You don't see the stripes on the pants. It just looks like 2 red stripes and a big stripe. You don't see.
Are the red outline on the numbers? Are the red outline on the numbers not on their practice uniforms? I feel like you could see the red lines on the red outline on the numbers looked different and more prominent on the screen than I have thought at practice. So I don't. Maybe they're not on their practice uniforms. I don't know. I like the logo a lot. It looks much better on the helmet than I think it does like on the screen.
Yeah, it pops off the helmet.
Yeah, it does look good on the helmet. And I think you can tell what you're looking at. And this is what a brand is supposed to do, as we talked about all offseason. If people in Dallas and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and Seattle turn on an NFL game, within the first 2 seconds, they're going to know they're looking at the Tennessee Titans. And that is what you want. You want the whole country to instantly recognize it.
Some of the older crew is going to think they're looking at the bastardized Houston Oilers. But they'll get
fair enough.
Somebody's asking if Femi was the leading tackler. I think 5 guys had 5 tackles, and he was one of them.
Yeah, and Flott had all those tackles because he was giving up catches.
Yeah, if you got a cornerback making downfield tackles, that's not a good.
It's in IDP, and if you play fantasy football and you have IDPs, like all the best corners in IDP are like the most average NFL corners.
They're
good. They're good enough to be out there for like thousands of snaps, but they're bad enough to give up a lot of plays, so people target them a lot. The best corners in fantasy football, like the best players, don't ever get targeted, so they don't produce any statistics. So that's.
I thought Femi showed up.
Yeah, he was fine.
He looks like a strong run stuffing, can push a guy backward defensive end right now, which is better maybe than I expected at this stage.
So here let's run through. I've got a list of positives here. I think the building block pieces on defense are a long way from great, but there's enough of them that I can start to see that the talent level is bubbling up here, right? Femi, Falk, Hill, Gray, Winston, those 4 or 5 in particular, you can be like, okay, there's lots of talent there. There's a long way to go to developing it, to getting it to be productive. But if you are Robert Saleh and you're Gus Bradley and you're looking at your depth chart, you're going, I think I've got a group of pieces here. And that does not include Jeffrey Simmons or some of the veterans, Amani Hooker or whatever. I don't know about Marcus Harris, but at least he's out there. I just think there's some pieces there that if you're a fan, you can go, okay, I see what you're doing here in the front 7 with some talent. There's a lot of talent with those guys I just mentioned.
I've got one for you that I'm starting to speculate about. Cedric Gray on coverage downs. Is there a way that we maybe see somebody else on the field
He bit
in
so
some coverage packages other than Cedric Gray, particularly if James Williams continues to thrive, and he really has come on. I think there's potential for more mix and match off the ball linebacker stuff.
I think the play action was a big problem for Gray in that game, and Falk to some degree too. Like he bit on a couple of bootlegs where the guy, like he's fat. Gray's fast enough to recover sometimes, but there was one where he rolled right and Curtis Rourke picked up the first down because like the linebacker was completely vacated the area.
And I know this is a big sus. Raise this with Sus next time you're on. And I know he and I flip-flop, so it'll be a little while before you have him again. I know he's a big proponent of the limitations of off-the-ball linebackers and just how much they actually are asked to do in coverage. But I'll talk to him between now and then about it. But even with how little you're asked to do, the 7 yards or the 8 yards, how the Titans linebackers measure out.
That's fair. I agree. James Williams was one of my big bright stars of so far. The whole picture, training camp, practice, and game, it all looks like he's flying around. They used him on a blitz in the second half as well after he made a big hit in the flat, and he almost got to the quarterback. Like he's got so much ability. And what's really funny is that like when I think of the Fred Warner player on this team, the guy with the most Fred Warner-like skills physically is James Williams. Like Anthony Hill's supposed to have those skills. He looked like a rookie player playing in his first game yesterday.
Hey, I snuck a story in yesterday just so people might go find it. Fred Warner, a friend of mine in San Francisco, gave me this. They talked to Fred Warner about Cam jawing with him and Cam in the practice. And Cam had talked about, why he does that. And Fred Warner, it kind of answered an extra question that somebody threw out there as a favor to me. And he kind of said, it's too early to tell if that's going to work for him. It's different. And I understand why he does it, but it's too early to tell if that's going to help him and his team or not.
That's such a smart answer.
Yeah, and I think
so smart.
I think that he's leaving the possibility that it could hurt him, and that's interesting to me. And I think it's a story worth reading. So check it out at paulkuharsky.com.
Well, what's fascinating about that answer is that Warner is acknowledging that there's nothing inherently wrong with it. Like, that's what's fascinating. He acknowledges, like, no, it's just him being him, but we don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing yet.
Basically said, like, he does it because it amps him up.
Right.
But it amps me up.
That's right.
And is that good for him to amp me up?
Well, so
I would argue amping up Cam Ward versus amping up Fred Warner is not a winning.
Go right back to the Netflix doc. Everyone's like, dude, stop talking shit to Baker Mayfield. It makes him better. Stop doing it. Like, that's a real thing. That's a real thing.
And that's an equation that Cam will need to be taught.
That's right.
By Brian Daboll. And Brian Daboll told him in his ear or face-to-face during the early stage of the joint practice when he was running to get involved in these scrums, it's making us inefficient.
Yeah.
We're wasting time. It's not helping us.
Yeah.
And Cam said, well, I understand what you're saying, but you're like me. You understand my personality. Well, you got to measure that.
Yeah. I mean, Daboll, not exactly a guy who keeps his emotions in check all the time during practice.
Right.
Quickly here before we get to more positive, Sinkers Beverages. Make sure you go support good local small businesses. Now more than ever before, local small business is really important in Nashville. So please support them, including Sinkers Beverages. Why is Braden a Knicks and Packers fan? So I was born in Wisconsin. My father was born in Wisconsin. My grandfather was born in Wisconsin. And when my grandfather and my father lived in Wisconsin for all of their lives, when they were there, the Bucks didn't exist. Neither did the Brewers. None of them existed. So there were no basketball. There's no hockey team. There's no basketball. There's no baseball team. He moved to New York in like 66, 67 when he was like 10, 11 years old. Well,
New York, go.
That's right. The Mets win the World Series in 69. The Amazons with Tom Seaver and Willie Mays. So he's 14 years old. He falls in love. He's going to games at Shea Stadium. The Knicks win the championship in 70 and 73 with Willis Reed and all those guys. He's a kid living in New York. He's going to the games. Like, that's totally a fair way to become a fan.
Absolutely.
And then I moved to Connecticut in 87 when I was 5. And my first sporting event ever in my life was Shea Stadium in 1987, the year after they won the World Series. So I got and then my second sporting event ever was Madison Square Garden to watch a Knicks game.
What would have been great is if Connecticut then pulled you to the Bruins and really spread like Mark Howard.
No, we were like way down. We were
Bruins
like we were like way down on the tip, where you're like just real close to
no
the city.
northern pole.
Yeah. And so it's very kind of strange. Like, we grew up Packers fans, but there was nothing else in the state. And so when he moved as a young kid, he kind of fell in love with it. I was there as a young kid and kind of fell in love with it. So it's all kind of legitimate. I got it from my father, but also I lived there. So it's pretty legitimate. So
it's all legitimate, but his father should have considered all of this when moving.
That's not things that are considered when moving.
How
do I pay my bills is what you consider when you move.
Too much.
The only one I've really changed, honestly, I was raised a Wisconsin Badgers fan, and I went to UT, so I became a Tennessee fan. Also fair to change on that.
Did you have any hockey allegiances?
I was raised a Rangers fan. Mark Messier, Adam Graves, Brian Leach, Mark Richter, that whole
that's a
94,
man right
94 team. It was a great team. And then the Predators came, and I'm in high school, and so I start going to games, and it's like they're right here in your yard. Like, it's easy to go. And
I drank with Messier once.
Really?
By drinking with Messier, I mean we were in the same bar.
Okay. So that's okay. In light of that, I went to a concert with the Rolling Stones one time. Not a concert to watch the Rolling Stones. I went to a concert with Keith and Mick and Ronnie. Yeah. We were at Cannery. We were at Mercy Lounge.
Oh.
The night before the show. I think that's on your wall back there, because Bobby Keys, the former sax player for the Stones, had passed away. And they were going to do. There was rumors they were going to do like a tribute show with some of the Stones the night before the concert at LP Field. And it was at Mercy Lounge, and the line was like, hundreds of people, and we were like 8th in line because we had heard about it early. We got a kind of a tip, and we walk in, we go, it's packed, and then there's this hush comes over the crowd. Mercy Lounge is like 1,000 people. It's very small. We get in there's a hush that comes over, and like Keith and Mick and Ronnie, and I think Charlie might have been there too. They come walking right past us like 5 feet away, like just walking right through the crowd. like just meandering their way through. They go backstage, they do a tribute for Bobby Keys, and I was at a concert with the Rolling Stones with Keith and Mick. They're my buddies. Anyway, okay. Offensive line running game, I think, is a big one for yesterday. I think if it was good on Tuesday and it was good last night, Peter Skoronski looked great. I thought Carmona being given all that opportunity is a good sign. They're giving him a fair audition.
Hey,
that's a really.
I mean, he's come on, and I like this on a lot of levels, because tradition over and over and over dictates that the veteran get the first one just out of like veteran tribute, that Volson would have been there just out of, hey man, you get the first crack. And Carmona has been gradually appearing in some first team stuff, but still Volson's had more. And so they threw him right in.
He played with the twos also. He played both series.
Yeah. They threw him right in. They got a lot of tape. Jackson Slater was second, but Jackson Slater was playing like third team center to cross train during the joint practice. Now he also played some first team something else, but I don't think Jackson Slater has great footing right now. I think that thing's wide open, and I think Carmona is right in it, which is terrific. I put a quote, we talked to Borgonzi a little bit, and I put a quote in my games, that what I wrote off the game last night from home, not from San Francisco, where he said, they rate offensive linemen 1 to 9, and they were really targeting, guys who were 7 or better. And Carmona was a 7 for them.
Okay.
And I found that pretty significant.
Okay.
So listen, I was saying root for Slater because Slater's a longer term solution and, a developmental guy. Well, Carmona would be even better.
That's right.
A year earlier. So I was thinking, Slater's not going to win. You're going to get Volson. Volson's a 1-year guy, and then it's still going to be in flux. Well, Carmona's actually the best case scenario in terms of long-term solution.
It is.
If he actually wins it.
Pollard looked exactly like Tony Pollard has always looked his entire career on every carry he's ever had in his entire life. When there was space, he did a great job picking it up, and there was space on the first drive. I do think of you every time I see Tajay Spears do something good. I think, PK. Tajay Spears has to be RB1. Not yet. We're not.
Where did he go?
We're not
on
going
the big run.
But behind.
Where did he go on
behind
the
J.C. Latham?
Well, it was a run up the middle.
It was a cutback.
And he can't run up the middle, so he went outside.
I think so. What's interesting is I just think in general, if you were saying which position groups gave you the most comfort or confidence or pause or calm or whatever you want to say, it is the running back room, in my opinion. Like that, Singleton looked like he could be better than he's drafted. Spears, as long as he's healthy, looks like the player I think he can be. And Pollard is Pollard. I think we're going to get him for what he is. I think the other thing that goes with this, not just the offensive line, but I think Daniel Bellinger looked pretty good. I think the tight end group looked pretty good, namely Helm and Bellinger. Bellinger had some really nice blocks to help receivers and running backs spring some bigger plays. Helm, of course, had the play. We know Brian Daboll uses these tight ends in tons of different creative ways. They're going to have 12 and 13 packages. I think the tight ends, the running backs, and the offensive line kind of as a group. And I'm going to put receivers in there too. They didn't do anything bad yesterday, and when they were given the opportunity to make plays, they kind of did. And so I think the skill around Cam was largely okay. I think it was the quarterback that was kind of the problem.
I think receivers made some mistakes in the course of that, but yeah, I felt comfortable with the receiver group. Right. And the kicker. I mean, if we're mentioning positive,
yeah.
I was outstanding and really responded to a bad scrimmage that resulted in them looking at kickers. And Saleh said the second stage of looking at kickers happened in Santa Clara. So that was interesting.
I also think Jermaine Johnson looked like a solid piece. I think he looked great. Going back to the broadcast problems, and again, this is just a media nerd thing, but Burmeister was like, what a great signing in the offseason. I'm like, dude, you're missing the main point of acquiring Jermaine Johnson, which is trading T'Vondre Sweat.
Right, upgrading. Let me say one thing. I put this out for the practice, and I put it out before the game. I was included in the practice group. I was not included in the game group because I came home in between. And some people take beef with this, and they're very defensive, fan bloggers and the like. Look, there are some guys who like live tweet a practice that they're not at. And I'm always going to have a beef with this. And I just want to make clear, like I said, hey, pay special attention to the tweets and the stories that come out of the practice from Sus and TD and Buck and me, because we're here, and everybody's freeloading off the quotes that come from Salah and Cam and Cedric and Carnell. And there would be no comments from those guys if we weren't here asking questions. And quite frankly, this is a business thing. My company spends over $1,000 for me to get out there. And all of these outlets are spending money to get out there. And these guys are sitting on their couch pretending oftentimes like they're out there, and they're not. And I think small businesses, big businesses, my small business, Tehran's giant business, deserve to be noted and rewarded for spending that money. And so I say it when I'm out there, and I say it last night when I'm not out there. Hey, pay special attention to these guys who are actually out there. Now, can you watch a game better on TV than at the game sometimes? Sure. I'm not saying don't comment. I'm saying pay attention to the guys who are asking the questions and who made the effort to be out there, as opposed to fan bloggers who are making a lot of noise and often pretending to be there. And then when I write one wrap up from there, make it very clear I'm not there. There's no fake dateline, which still means something in the business. And I say Robert Saleh told the reporters who are there, which lots of people leave out and make it seem like they were there. And I'm sorry, this is important to me. I teach media ethics. I try to do things the right way. And if you don't find that distinction important, I think that's sad.
It's almost like the internet is destroying our football discourse, and the information environment. It could be better, maybe. Sinkers Beverages. I'm going to let you go on this. We got to mention Will Levis here, and I want to give you my journey watching Will Levis last night as a Packers fan, because I want to come at it from that angle for the sake of this conversation. He went out there, and on the first play, it looked good. He's physical. He's playing like the transformer that he is physically. And I started with, you know what? If you are a football team in the NFL that needs a backup quarterback, what is a 6th round pick, really? I would absolutely, especially considering Matt LaFleur's relationship with Robert Saleh, considering Matt LaFleur's the work he just did with Malik Willis, I would absolutely give up a 6th round pick for Will Levis. That's how I started. And I was like, if I'm being honest, I need to be honest about this as a fan and not be a reporter. I need to be like, how would I be okay with this trade if my team did this? And I was like, absolutely, I would put Will Levis as a backup with Matt LaFleur's offense.
Who's their backup right now?
Tyrod Taylor right now, but they went and got him. But Taylor might be bad. Here's my problem. Here's the story arc. By the end of like 2 drives, I was like, nope, not worth it. And that is the problem. Like, he's so talented. He's absolutely worth the upside and worth the risk. And then you watch, like, he looked exactly like he has during training camp, unfortunately. And the one play that I want to wrap the entire thing up with, because it represents the broadcast telling a bad story as well as the quarterback playing poorly. There was a fade route to Alec Iomander down the left sideline. I don't remember what drive it was. 2nd or 3rd drive, Levis is out there. And the broadcast put all of the blame on the receiver for not running the right route, getting too close to the sideline. And Alec Iomander, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, coaching staff could give us a better answer on this, he was wide open for a back shoulder fade. When you get the corner on your hip and he is right next to you like that, 15, 18 yards downfield, you got to be more on a rope, and you got to go back shoulder, and you got to give him a chance to cut, turn back, catch it backside, 2 feet down out of bounds. And he threw it, Levis lofted it into coverage where the DB was, and Alec Iomander had no chance, and the broadcast blamed the receiver. And I'm like, no, that was a terrible throw by Levis. Alec Iomander was in great position for a back shoulder fade. Levis didn't read the defensive back's positioning at all.
I don't remember the play specifically, but Will Levis is not showing much of a growth curve here. He's not helping him. He's not helping the Titans and what they're going to get in return. And I could see a scenario where he's cut or somebody's just given a pick swap, but I think he's most likely to be on a practice squad.
It's bad
at the start of the season, not on the
He's
roster.
so physically gifted. Like, he's just such a beast. So there you go. All right. We'll be back. Paul and I will be back, of course, in a couple of days. So we'll have some more action for you previewing next week's joint practice and match with the Seattle Seahawks. Everybody out there, support Sinkers Beverages, support local businesses like paulkuharsky.com as well. And obviously enjoy Messi coming to town over the weekend if you get a chance to go out there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Going to be a good weekend. Football's here, guys. Even if it's just a preseason game, football's back. For Paul, I'm Braden. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. We will talk to you next time.